Welcome back to the Social English Podcast. I'm your host, Percy. Today we are talking about how to talk about something you observed on today's episode. Hikari, kick it off.
皆さんこんにちは。毎日少しずつ社交に使える英語の上達を目指すソーシャルイングリッシュポッドキャストへようこそ。今日はぜひもっと自信を持って英会話してみましょう。Are you ready, Percy? Let's go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Social English Podcast. I am your host, Percy, and I am so glad to have you here joining me today. And I just want to thank my co-host, intro personality, talent, Hikari. Thank you for that introduction. And I want to go straight into today's episode. We are going to talk about, of course, fixing someone's English and how you talk about describing something you see. That's what we'll talk about today. If this is the first time you have joined us, welcome to the podcast. I am Percy, and thanks for joining us today. So today, you're going to learn a lot, and you will in every single episode here of the Social English Podcast. So you can look forward to listening to what I have to talk about today. In today's episode, as with every episode, what I want you to do first is I want you to relax. And I want you to think about me and you sitting at your favorite cafe, and we are just having coffee, maybe a snack, and we are going to discuss English. So I want you to be relaxed and open to listening to English. Doesn't matter if you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level of English. I am certain that you will gain more English skills every day. So, today's topic, we have another social English repair shop. And in today's episode, let's talk about a question that a listener and Japanese learner of English asked. What they want to know is how to talk about something you see or observe. I will give you their passage, what they said, and they asked me, is this correct? How to fix this? So let's talk about how to fix it. This is the passage. The Japanese learner of English, his name is Hido. He has the following. Please listen. Maybe you will hear the wrong or incorrect English. After raining sometimes, sky shows beautiful phenomenon. After raining sometimes, sky shows beautiful phenomenon. Okay. There it is. Some of you intermediate or advanced English learners have already noticed the issue with that particular sentence. So let's talk about the correct way. But first, let me point out what is incorrect with this sentence. After raining, sometimes sky shows. There are missing words there that make it hard for an English speaker to understand. Beautiful phenomenon. This is incorrect because the phenomenon is not defined. It is unexplained. We don't know what phenomenon means in this sentence. The sky shows beautiful phenomenon. So what is the phenomenon? The question is, what phenomenon? So it does not make sense to the listener who is an English speaker. So they may be able to figure out what you're trying to say, but it does not make sense as is. So let's listen to the social English corrected version of that particular passage. Okay, here we go. After it rains, sometimes the sky looks like a painting. It's beautiful. After it rains sometimes, the sky looks like a painting. It's beautiful. Okay, so you can hear immediately that there is a difference in what is being said. After it rains sometimes. So we're talking about the after it rains, okay? Almost the same thing, but we're not going to use raining because it's not raining now, so it doesn't make much sense. So after raining sometimes, the sky looks like a painting. So the phenomenon in the first way by the Japanese learner of English, when we say beautiful phenomenon, we need to say what that is. So the sky shows phenomenon. Sky shows sky phenomenon. Okay, so here is the change. Sky looks like a painting. So instead of saying a phenomenon, I'm saying what the phenomenon describes, because phenomenon does not it's not enough information. There are many different types of phenomenon. So if you use the word or the tool, if you use the tool Google Translate, you probably will run into a lot of words that do not make sense when translated into English as is. Okay? So be careful when you use that. Okay. And that's pretty much it. I hope that you have heard the issues with that particular passage and why it just does not make sense the way it is. Because again, we don't really understand what you mean by phenomenon. It shows a phenomenon. Okay, that's awesome. It shows a phenomenon, but what is the phenomenon that you are talking about? Yes, what are you describing? What is the phenomenon that you are trying to talk about and tell us about. So we don't know what that is when you use that particular kind of language. Okay? So that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid using that language when we do our description. So we want to describe certain things. We don't want to use that language. So be careful there. Okay, thank you, because that will be it for today's episode. It was very short, but I hope you did learn something. And I'd like to thank you for spending time with me today. I know that you definitely learned something valuable from today's episode. Please use it. Please learn it and use it when you practice English. Come visit us at realsocialenglish.com, where you can get my free download, The 7 Mistakes Most Japanese Learners of English Make and How to Fix Them. You will also find more resources to help you get better at English every single day. You can subscribe. So subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, and now Pandora. Become a patron. Help the show by donating $3 to $5 to help out the show. We will show you by personally thanking you in a future episode. So please help support this podcast. Once again, that is patreon.com/social English. Okay, you can also share our podcast on your social media with your friends and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next time. Hikari, take it away.
今日は楽しい時間をありがとうございました。ぜひ私たちのウェブサイトrealsocialenglish.com を訪問して日本語訳と役立つ情報を手に入れてください。また次回お会いしましょう。バイバイ。See you next time. Bye bye.